Okay, shalom bracha, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, I'm sorry, I bring a lot of stuff with me, so it falls all over. Okay, here we go. How is everybody?
Good, up to the taste.
Hungry? Good. That's exactly where we want you. A hungry person is a person who's paying attention. That's what we say. You keep them hungry, you keep them focused. That was our point of our speech earlier. We're going through a series right now where we're going through a good part of 5 boroughs to do a series on finding your true potential, finding your inner true potential, finding out that greatness that is inherent in each one of us. We have a belief, just as a brief introduction to it, we have a belief that the Ribbono Shel Olam has created each and every one of us for a reason. There isn't a single one of us, and if this is all you take out of tonight, that's it, you can leave. There isn't a single one of us, not one of us, that was created, Halillah, to ever say that was created by accident. That's for sure, not that we know. But that was created extra. You and me are not alive for the same reason. You and I don't exist for the same reason. When we think about this logically and we understand it, and it's emunah pshuta, when we understand this, we come to an unbelievable realization. There is never a reason to judge, get angry, be jealous of any other person. Because if I'm supposed to be me, and you're supposed to be you, then whatever you have, you need. And you need whatever you have. And whatever I have, I need, and I have everything that I need. He runs it perfectly. He set it up perfectly. The trick is to find that inner part of ourselves, that inner greatness in ourselves, that is dying to come out. Now the Goyim in psychology, we have so many different names for this. Motivational speakers all over the world have made livings off of dubbing this many different names. We like to call it our neshama. It's our soul, it's what we are. They want to call it either the subconscious or whatever it is, whatever epithet they want to tie it with. But the fact is, when we deny, and this is key, when we deny that deep calling, when we deny that part of ourselves that is supposed to become great, that is supposed to be greatness embodied, when we deny that, we are unhappy. And on the other end, when we connect with it, we have joy without bound. This is, in my interpretation, this is taken from a therapist named Brene Brown, but in my interpretation of it, the reason why so many parents, if you ever stood over your children while they were sleeping, is the example she brings, if you ever stood over your children while they were sleeping, you get this unbelievable feeling while they're sleeping. While they're up, they're a bunch of monsters, but when they're sleeping and they're peaceful and they're nice and they're cute, you get to look at them and you get this unbelievable feeling. I never knew I can love something this much. I never known that I would give my life in 1 second for this tiny little being. I never known that I could have this much love for something. And immediately, we're fearful. Oh my gosh, what if something happens to this child? I would die. I wouldn't be able to exist. I wouldn't be able to live. We start palpitating. This part of us, Brene Brown wants to say that this part of us is the part of us that doesn't allow us to feel joy for whatever. We'll go into it in a class later on this week. But this part of us, and my interpretation of it, is there because we're so uncomfortable with feeling that joy, with feeling that love. We become so uncomfortable with it because we never tap into it. That love that we feel for that child is purpose, it's meaning. It's when we look down at that child, we feel meaning, we feel purpose, we feel a connection to something, and we realize, wow, I did something bigger than me. I put into this world something that's so beautiful. I never knew I was capable of that. Look how beautiful it is. And automatically we start becoming fearful. What if I mess it up? What if I don't do right by it? And that fear, as we were explaining earlier this afternoon, that fear is what drives us to all these different things. Jealousy, it's what we said this afternoon, just to recap so we could go to the next step over here. This afternoon, it's what we said brought us to sin in the Midbar, to do the Egel. It was fear. We were so afraid not having Moshe Rabbeinu. We were so afraid not being able to connect to Hashem again that we made a stupid mistake, and we've been paying for it and recuperating for it. We quoted the Arachaim this morning that says that we're the generation, we're the people that are here to not only fix the sin of the Egel, but to transform it. See, because the beautiful part about having a negative character trait, the beautiful part about sinning, the beautiful part about making a mistake, is that if you learn from it, the Rambam brings down, if you do your tshuva, it now becomes a mitzvah. How does that work? How does that work? If I punch you in the head, it becomes a bruise. After that, if we're lucky, we all just walk away. If not, it becomes a trauma. It never becomes something good. You never come closer because I punched you in the head. It just doesn't happen. How does this work? That we have this sin that we've been holding on to and suffering from. Horrific suffering. Every single bad thing that has happened in our lives, in our personal lives, and definitely as the Jews as a whole, every single thing stems from the Egel. Every single thing stems from the Egel. So now one thing I forgot to mention, everyone knows in classes and speeches, you turn your phone off. Tonight, you're actually going to all turn your phones on. There's the only one. Don't ever do it again to anyone else. Everyone's phone's on and have it with you. We're going to need it later. Everyone have your phone with you. Everyone have it on. Turn your ringer all the way up. No, don't turn your ringer up. That'll just be pointless. But have your phone on you. Have it open and ready and willing to rock and roll. We're going to need it soon. But just to hold on to that, we'll get there. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to go through the 6 steps, what I call the 6 hammer blows. These are the 6 steps of awesome. These are the 6 steps that we take in order to become great, in order to find that inner power that we never knew existed. Through these 6 steps, there's nothing we cannot do. These aren't mine. This is years of compiling this from different places. Step number 1. Step number 1 of 6. Step number 1 is to believe. Step number 1 is our emunah. Step number 1 is our belief. What we believe. What we believe is key. We've become these puppets of other people. What everyone else believes, we just start marrying, sort of. We have to start believing. We have to start believing for ourselves, within ourselves. So the emunah pshuta over here is very, very, very simple. This first step is very simple. But like the Ramchal says in Mesiyat Yesharim, Lo chibarti chibartev hazeh, I didn't write this for people who that was not the exact quote, but for people to teach people what they don't know. You know everything I'm going to tell you. You do. Step 5 and 6 will take care of that question. You know all this already. But because it's so ragil, because it's so pashut, we forgot it. But Occam's razor claims that the simplest answer is usually the correct one. And we're going for simplicity here. Because every single person can do this. You follow these 6 steps, you are a different human being. Now where we are right now is Ne'ilat HaChag. The class earlier today was called Getting Our Fasts Straight. The reason being that we're very confused by fasts. We think it's this day of sadness, and we mourn, and it is. But it's for a reason. Jews don't sit there suffering. We don't believe in it. We don't allow it. We don't believe in suffering. We believe in being sad. We believe in owning an emotion to its fullest. We believe in being hurt and representing from it. But we don't believe in suffering. We don't just sit there saying, well, I was dealt a bad hand, and that's it. We don't believe in suffering. It's the only reason we're still alive today, by the way. If we believed in suffering, we would have died a long time ago. We would have died out years ago. The Holocaust would have taken care of half of us and the other half, who knows what. We would have been gone. We don't believe in suffering. If any of you know, I'm a Moroccan Jew, in case that part wasn't obvious. I'm a Moroccan, and this is a Sephardi Minyan, so I'm sure everybody here has that grandmother that walked through 8 deserts and scaled mountains that, the greatest mountain climbers alive nowadays can't get up. And in order to get into Israel, in order to whatever it was, they could have just stayed where they were and suffered. But they believed in something bigger. The originals that came over, the hard workers that came over, they didn't believe in suffering. They believed in rebuilding. If all we believed in was suffering, we wouldn't have a single yeshiva open today. We would just be wallowing in it if we would even be in existence anymore. So, our first step here is to believe. Emunah pshuta. Hashem created me for a reason. Now guys, I can't tell you how emotional this gets when you do this alone. When I was writing this, I was sitting in my office in my house, and I was writing it, and I only speak about and write things that have worked for me or that I've done for myself. I've had millions of demons in my life I had to fight through, so these are the things that have worked. And these are the ones that I've come up with, and when I sit there and I was going through this one, just the belief part, forget even the rest was an emotional roller coaster, but the belief part brought me to tears. It will bring the strongest of people down to their knees. Because you have to understand what belief is. Belief isn't that there is a God. That's not your opinion. There is a God. We don't need you believing in that. He doesn't need you believing that. No one needs that. It exists. There is a God. That's not emunah. Emunah is believing that he is the manhig, that he runs the world. But what does that mean, runs the world? Every iota of every single thing is done by Hashem. What that means is, and I apologize if this hits too close to home, but I'm not here to make friends. What that means is that if you're going through something difficult in life, when we're going through something, when I'm going through something difficult in life, that is tailor-made for me. He wants me to find through that what it is that I'm supposed to take from it. I grew up dyslexic in the yeshiva system. It's a very, very difficult place to be the people of the book when you can't read. It's not an easy. Whatever your story is, whatever your current situation is that you're going through right now, it could be trouble with children, it could be trouble with teenagers, it could be singles. Singles have the worst rap ever. They have everyone around them in their entire life basically telling them, you're only the half of a whole. You need to find your other half. You're worthless without it. And it's a lie. Because if that were true, Mr. God, on your decision, if that were true, they would have it already. Clearly the Rebbeinu Shalom needs them to be the way they are right now for a reason. Set them up or leave them alone. It's not laziness. They're there for a reason. What that reason is beyond me. I can't even fathom what it is. But that's for them. And for each and every one of us, there's always going to be a reason. My belief is that my hardships, what I go through, there's a reason. There's something there. You have to understand how empowering this is. Suffering only happens when I think it's meaningless. Suffering only comes when I think that pain is pointless. I could have avoided this. I didn't have to go through this. That's when suffering kicks in. We don't have to suffer if we realize that every ounce of pain that we go through is for a reason. not only is it there for a reason, all those things that we point at and say, you know why I'm not a bigger Balei Tzedakah? It's because, my boss doesn't give me that raise and da-da-da-da-da-da. You know why I never started that organization I wanted to start? You know why I don't help that guy down the block that I wanted to help? You know why I don't do this? You know why I don't do that? All those reasons, Hashem handed you. He handed it to you. And He said, now do it. Do it through this. This is going to be the vehicle you use to actually accomplish it. And we're going to feel so silly after 120 when we come up. And we're pointing at things and Hashem said, no, that was the thing you were supposed to use to become great. Rabbi Schuster. Rabbi Schuster was a rabbi in Eretz Yisrael, probably one of the greatest Kiruv giants in the past who knows how many years. He invented the idea of tapping people on the shoulder at the kotel. If you've ever heard a story of someone being approached at the kotel and being tapped on the shoulder, right? Some of you had the pleasure of meeting Mrs. Schuster, tapping her on the shoulder, being tapped on the shoulder, and being mekarev, or being brought to Eish. That was Meir Schuster that was doing that. He started the whole idea. It was mekarev. It's impossible. It's impossible to say how many. I was at his shiva after he passed away. I was at his shiva. It wasn't fathomable how many people, rabbanim, big rabbis that were getting up and saying, this one guy got up, this Hasidish guy, long white beard, long pealach, long black coat. He got up, an older looking guy too. He got up, started shaking. And I'm like, oh, this is probably going to be in Yiddish or at least Hebrew or something. And he says, when I came down to the coattail one time, and I'm like, where is this guy? He's a cowboy? Where's this guy from? I was like, from Houston, Texas. I was at the coattail one time. Someone done tapped me on the shoulder. No one understood a word he said. But I'm looking at him, and he's one of them. He's one of them that Rabbi Schuster tapped on the shoulder. Hundreds of people coming through this house. Rabbi Schuster lost a daughter one time. During her Shiva, he sent a question to Rabbi Elyashiv to ask him, halachically, is he allowed to leave to go to the kotel to continue doing his kiruv during his daughter's Shiva? A young girl. Am I allowed to go to the kotel because it's hatzalat nefashot? Every day there are hundreds of people coming through there that won't be tapped on the shoulder. No one else was doing it back then. Rabbi Elyashiv came to the house to meet the person who asked that question. He had to meet him. Rabbi Schuster didn't understand what he was so impressed by, and said, as Rabbi Elyashiv was leaving, he said to him, I'm sorry, Rabbi, what's the answer? I appreciate that you came to what's the answer? Am I supposed to go or should I stay? The amazing part of Rabbi Schuster is not what he accomplished. That's not what makes him great. The amazing part of Rabbi Schuster is the fact that he was a classical introvert. Rabbi Schuster would have anxiety, actual panic attacks about having to talk to other people. He was a classical introvert. He couldn't speak to other people. All his friends from school, when he was younger, wrote articles about him after he passed away, saying this kid never said two words. He wasn't this Kiruv rabbi who was funny and good looking and all these things. This guy, he wasn't that guy. That's not who he was. He couldn't speak. He had no jokes, nothing. Every day when he got to the old city, he would take off his watch and leave it in his car so that he can go up to people at the kotel and ask them the time to start up conversation with them. He believed that his handicap, his perceived handicap, was his greatest tool. He saw a problem and he said, I can talk to people. I can, because I have to save them. We're not going to worry about the anxiety right now. There are Jewish lives out there. That perceived notion that we have of something that holds us back. I had a guy one time, I used to work in our Sameach, and I worked a lot with teens at risk, and I counseled drug addicts for many years, and I had this guy one time come up to me, and he said to me, and one of my jobs over there is that I would speak to the atheists that would come through. And this guy one time came up to me, and he said, Rabbi, I have some questions. I said, I'm not Radio Shack, but I'll try. And he said, okay, but I'm just warning you. No rabbi I have ever spoken to was able to answer these questions. So I said, fantastic. I'm not going to answer them either. He said, I'm sorry. I said, I'm not even going to try. I don't even want to hear them. He said, no, why not? I said, because what happens? You have these questions, and therefore what? You keep Shabbat? He says, no. Kosher? No. Religious at all? Nothing. Why? Because I have my questions. I got these questions. I don't want to. Until I fully believe, I'm not gonna do it. I said to him, buddy, you're missing your calling. You asked the question that no one can answer. Whose responsibility do you think it is to answer it? It's not mine. You're right, I probably can't answer it. Because it's not my responsibility, it's yours. I don't know when we started pawning off our responsibilities. It's your responsibility now to go and find the answers to those questions. You have awesome questions, go find me the answer. It's not my question. You go, open up a book. Don't just ask people, go learn all of it. I said to him, I was like, you learn Moreh Nevuchim from the Rambam? No. No. Derech Hashem? No. What? Have you any of the Victor Miller book? Nothing. I said, you haven't done your research. You have a responsibility now. Your question becomes your responsibility to find the answer. It's not just something that we sit back with. That's suffering. When a tragedy happens, and we try to explain it as opposed to becoming bigger from it. I was in Israel when those 3 boys were kidnapped, and unfortunately at the end killed. You've never seen unity like that in your life. You've never seen Jews come together like that. It was unbelievable. Anyone who had the opportunity to be there was incredible to watch. Why? Because that's what we do as Jews. We don't suffer. We don't suffer. We take disadvantage and we turn it into advantage. That's how we make money. That's how we're the top of every field. That's what we do. And we don't do it just as a nation or on a large scale. We have to do it as individuals. So step 1 is believing. It's believing that Hashem has me here for a reason. He believes in my greatness. And I know I have greatness in me. And there is no one that can tell me otherwise. Of all the kids I've ever worked with that were on the streets, that were on drugs or any of these things, when combing back, you'll always find someone told them at some point, convinced them, brainwashed them that they are worthless. Once you're worthless, there's no reason to live anymore. Belief is our first step. Number 2, step 2, hammer blow 2, is to recruit the haters. This one's big, because this one's not easy. There was a boy by the name of Mike Stone. Mike Stone's, all his older brothers, he wasn't Jewish, all his older siblings were Olympians. They got into the Olympics. They didn't make it far at all. His father was an Olympic trainer. His father was tired and burnt out and done by the time Michael came of age to even train for the Olympics. Michael comes up to his dad and he says, Dad, I want to join the Olympics. And he was the least able of all of his siblings. And his father says to him, Mike, please just leave me alone. There's only so much disappointment one person can handle. Just forget it. Do anything else. You can do anything. You're amazing. Let me have my beer. Just leave me alone. And he says, no, Dad, I'm doing it. I'm getting a gold. By the way, also, if you're not going to train me, I'll find someone else. So what's it going to be? So he says, you know what? I'll train him. I know Michael. He's going to quit. At least his older siblings had the tenacity, the ability, the sheer physical talent. This guy's got none. He's going to quit. So he says, okay, Mike, what field would you like to pursue in the Olympics? Which game? What category? Michael says, pole vaulting. Now, pole vaulting is probably one of the hardest Olympic sports to do. You have to have the strength of an Olympic weightlifter, you have to have the agility of an Olympic gymnast, and you have to have the speed of an Olympic runner. So you have to train basically to be an Olympian in 3 categories and combine them in one. That's also with perfect timing perception, depth perception, and a few other things. So he says, okay, great. That's perfect for me, because this is not going to go further than a week. You are going to quit. There's no way this is going anywhere. So he says, Dad, again, I'm going from gold. If you're not in it for the long haul, quit now, I'll get someone else. He says, no, buddy, I'm here. Sure enough, I'm sure you figured out, a week turns into a month turns into a year. Make a long story short, it's years later, Michael's at the Olympics, and he's standing there. You can look this up. He's standing there. The bar is set higher than he's ever jumped over before. He's never vaulted this high in his life. If he misses this one, he's out. 3 inches higher than he's ever vaulted before. Now, 3 inches in pole vaulting, I say this like I'm a professional here, but I read the story. 3 inches in pole vaulting is a mile. It's a lot. Michael sets himself up. His father is fainting in the crowd. He's ecstatic. He can't even believe he's gotten this far. He's guaranteed a bronze. He gets over this thing. He has a silver. He can't even imagine it. He goes down. Sure enough, he clears the pole. He beat his personal best, clears the pole. Crowd goes wild. His father jumps out of the stands, runs up to him, hugs him and kisses him and says, Michael, if this is where it ends, I want you to know I could die today happy. And he said, Dad, you still don't get it. I didn't come here for silver. I came here for gold. Now either help me or I'll find someone else. And his father said, okay, let's get ready. Now we're 5 inches over his personal best. The original personal best. There's no way. It's just a physical impossibility. His dad's setting him up for failure. He's telling him, it's okay, don't worry. You know, this other guy has the... He said, Dad, I'm going for gold. What you're doing right now is just convincing me that that's impossible. So either tell me I can do this or go away. And he said, Michael, you know what? I didn't think you can lift a barbell. I didn't think you could wake up in the morning to show up to fight for this. I didn't think you had anything. Go for it. I'm a loser. I fail on the rest of them. You're the only one who has believed since day one. Go for it. You got this. And sure enough, Michael goes running down, and he vaults, and he makes it. And he has gold. The news reporters got a hold of his story that all his siblings went before him. They interviewed his father, and his father came clean on air, saying that I've never believed in my son since day one. And this kid does all this on their own, and they all went crazy. And for news reports for days afterwards, we're talking about him. Michael Stone never saw any of these news reports. There's one point of information I forgot to tell you. Michael Stone is blind. He can't see. It wasn't his father that didn't believe in him. It was reality itself that didn't believe in him. Everyone could have told him. Anyone could have told him. You didn't have to be a professional to know this kid doesn't have depth perception. He doesn't have eyes. He can't see. It's not physically possible to do what he wants to do. We recruit our haters. Those that say no to us. Those that try to, it could be a boss, it could be a spouse, it could be a son, it could be a father. Those that want to keep us in the box of mediocrity, we respect them, we smile at them, we nod at them, and then we rub their face in it when we prove them wrong. But we know for a fact that we're going to prove them wrong. We recruit our haters. They end up becoming our best allies. Step 3. We're running out of time, so we have to run through a little bit. Step 3. We surround ourselves by great people. When I was living in Israel, I just moved back to the States, or to the States, I think at this point you say. I moved to the States just recently. I was living in Israel for many years, and someone in Israel told my wife an amazing line when we were leaving. We were feeling a little bit guilty about it. Leaving Israel is not an easy decision to make. Someone said to my wife, well, you know what? If you're going to move to America and you're going to stay on the level that you're on, you're going to be great people. So I said, what do you mean? She said, over here in Israel, it's easy. And my wife and I are both like, excuse? We haven't paid rent in 3 months. I haven't been paid in 5 months. It's not easy over here. It's very difficult. She's like, no. That's not what I mean. Being a true and met religious Jew here is easy. You're surrounded by it. It's saturated with it. It's in every corner of every street, everywhere. It's all over the place. There's Kedusha on every corner. So it's everywhere. To stay on a level over there, it's easy. She said, if you could keep this going over there, in the West, you'll be great people. I think you're up for the challenge. And Mamash, of all the rabbis we spoke to, of all the people we spoke to about this, she was the one that gave us a tremendous, or it was a random woman, she gave us a tremendous drive to do well. But when we were living over there, we lived in a building of tzaddikim, just unbelievable human beings. The Nussbaums, the Specters, the Goldsmiths, all these people, the Kahanes, the Ingbers, these are tzaddikim you might have never heard of, but trust me, they're some of the greatest people you'll ever meet. Pure, ruchni, just unbelievable human beings. When you surround yourself by these people, everything that there was a family in our building, Kahane, Rabbi and Mrs. Kahane. Everything Mrs. Kahane, whatever, she's a tzaddikus of a woman, everything, she's going to kill me for saying this out loud, anything that Mrs. Kahane would ever tell my wife would come back home and we would learn it up like a Gemara. She would say something, she'd be like, oh yeah, it's just food. My wife would come back and be like, she said it's just food to something. What do you think that means? It means that we can exist without it, and we make such a big deal, and we would learn up every single thing she would say. Because there was depth to everything she would say. Rabbi Schuster's widow, Rebbetzin Schuster, lived across the hall from us. She was a musser. Just watching her walk up and down the steps was a musser sefer in itself. Surround yourself by great people. Where I live in Cleveland, there's a minyan. They call it the Nigun minyan. It's a Kalbach minyan, where they get together and they sing and dance. I used to live in Svat for a little while, and it reminds me of home, so I like to go to it. And I like to bring my kids because I want them to see people dancing only because it's Shabbos. It's not a simcha, no one's getting married, they're only dancing because it's Shabbat. It's Friday night, the Queen is coming. I want them to see people just enjoy that light. They have a little spread of food beforehand, and it's ran by this man, A.J. Beulah. I call him a man, the guy's a malach. He's an unbelievable human being. AJ this past week told me a great story. And this is what happens when you surround yourself by great people. AJ told me building this minyan was a big project of his. And making it happen and bringing that energy into the community. And he said his children came up to him, they put tzedakah in the box every single week. They put tzedakah in a tzedakah box every single week. Finally, they came up with a full box of tzedakah. And they come up to their father on Thursday, and they tell him, Abba. He says, yeah. They say, we know what we want to do with the tzedakah box. He says, okay, great. What do you want to do? They say, we want to sponsor this week's Kiddush. It's not Kiddush, but the spread before davening, before Kabbalat Shabbat. And they did. They put out a beautiful spread. When you surround your children, when you surround your house with unbelievable people, they in turn, their standard gets raised. Their standard goes up. Who you are starts to get raised. This goes for the negative also. We have the Mishnah. The Mishnah in Avot says that Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai asked his Talmidim to each name the great trait that a person should have. Rabbi Yossi was the one who said, Shachen Ra is the worst thing a person can have, and Shachen Tov is the greatest thing a person can have. A neighbor that is holding in a high level. Why? Because when we see how they communicate with us, when we connect with those people, we automatically become great. But the other side is also true. When our neighbors, when the people around us, when the people sitting next to us are the ones that are obsessed with money and kavod and jealousy and all these things, we are going to become like that. Not only that, our kids are going to become like that. We have to surround ourselves by people who like-mindedly want to grow. This one's pointless for tonight. In Shavasar B'Tammuz, you're all fasting. You're showing up right before, in the Ilav of Shavasar B'Tammuz, to listen to this guy. You're amazing. You're clearly surrounded by awesomeness. The Chazaq organization that I'm going around for, that has sent me around, you have to see, I had these flyers, you have to see what these guys are doing. They're surrounded, you are surrounded in your community over here by amazing people. You have to see what, 700? Was that the number? 700? 700 public school kids? Why didn't I start Chazaq? I'm an idiot. I could have. Why not? What did he have more than I do? What did he have more than you do? You could do it. 700. I was sitting there one time in Kolel next to my chavruta. His name was Shaya Cohn. Shaya was, this isn't Rabbi Shaya Cohn from over here, much younger guy. He's in Baltimore. He runs an unbelievable program out over there called Lev Shlomo. Shaya Cohn Aryeh Zigdon. Shaya and I were sitting one time learning in Kolel, and someone came around and said that he's trying to raise money for families that don't have food for Shabbat. So he said, I'm trying to get everyone to pledge 100 shekel, whatever it is a month. So people are pledging, we pledged. The guy leaves. I kept learning. I look over. Shaya is not with me. He's just, his head is somewhere else. I'm Shaya, what's going on? He's like, how are you going? Did you just hear what the guy said? So what? He said that there are kids that don't have food on Shabbat. I said, yeah, it's a sad case in Israel, but that's the fact of it. He's like, that can't be. That night, literally that night, Shaya had a website. I have no idea, he doesn't know how to turn on a computer. I have no idea how he pulled it off. Shaya had a website, he had donors. That Pesach, he gave out 2 tons. 2 tons. It's like a gorilla. 2 tons of chicken. It's a lot more than a gorilla. 2 tons of chicken to poor families. I was sitting right next to him. I had the same opportunity he did. The only difference is he got up and he did it. I can't tell you how much I've taken from somebody, from being around people like Shaya. Shaya and these people, they taught me an unbelievable lesson. You surround yourself by greatness. Step 4 is consistency. The Rambam brings up an idea. We're going to try to run through 5 and 6 over here. The Rambam brings up an unbelievable idea. In modern psychology, they call it the subconscious accumulation process, or SAP. It's the idea that every time we do something, we become stronger in that thing. Now, this goes for positive and negative. Every time I say yes to eating that piece of cake I shouldn't be eating, I know, bad example for tonight, I apologize, but every time I eat that piece of cake I shouldn't be eating, the next time I'm a lot more likely to say yes. Every time I say no to it, the next time I'm a lot more likely to say no. The way our willpower builds up and our confidence builds up is the amount of times we say yes or no to something. The Zohar brings down that everything physical in the world has a spiritual counterpart. Our physical bodies work like this also. If you ever worked out in a gym, you work out the first 6 times you lift weights, the first 6 reps that you do of lifting weights doesn't matter. It's that 7th and 8th one that you rip the muscle. All those 6 easy ones were only there for you to rip that muscle and become bigger. It's the same thing. We say yes, we say yes, we say yes. all the time to our positives. Yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. Today I'm getting up. Tomorrow I'll fail. I'll save failure for tomorrow. Today I'm going to get up. Today I'm going to go to that shiur. Today I'm going to daven. Today I'm going to learn. Keeping that consistency is extremely, extremely important. Step 5 is do not get distracted. You have to be obsessed with this idea. You make a vision board, do whatever it is that you need to do. Write it on the ceiling. My students used to do this. I have a line I always tell my students. No one has ever become great while being comfortable. It's never happened. No one has ever become great sitting on a couch. You had to be standing up and you had to be involved. That's the only way to do it. So my students had, on top of their beds, on the ceilings, they spray painted, no one has ever become great while being comfortable. Have it, become obsessed with the idea that you are great. And that if you don't give you to the world, we are going to lose it. There's no second of you. There's no double. There's no other one. There might be people similar to you, but they're not going to be able to do it. It's only you. Step 6 is the biggest one, and it's why we're discussing this today. Step 6 is to pay it forward. Of all addiction therapy, one of the most potent things that they tell addicts to do is to become sponsors. Is to go now help another person. And we always say, me, how am I gonna? Have you not been listening for the past hour? You, yes, you, me, little me, yes. Get up and go do it. The amount of people who came to my house and now keep Shabbos because they had it at my Shabbos table, it's not because of me. Ask them all. It's because of my kids. They fell in love with my kids, so they kept coming back every week. They saw how much my kids liked Shabbat, and they decided, you know what, this looks pretty good. And they started keeping it. This guy was just sitting up there eating shalom. I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't doing anything. Every single person, you have no idea the impact you can have. If you take 2 people, you have no idea the impact you have. I'm going to end with this. We have so much, but we're out of time. I'm going to end with this. The reason I told you to take out your phones in the beginning and hold them with you is that we're on a campaign right now. I'm not raising money, don't worry. We're on a campaign right now. We're trying to do something unprecedented. We're calling it the Shalom Initiative. We're trying to create a sense of peace among our people. This isn't being peaceful with each other. I'm not telling you to make up with that guy next door that you can't stand. This is setting up peaceful, beautiful dialogue between people. So everyone take out your phone, you add this number to your WhatsApp. We're going to try to have a minimum of 200 people over the course of this week add to their WhatsApp the Daily Dose from Torah Anytime. Add to their WhatsApp the Daily Dose from Torah Anytime. The number is +1. WhatsApp. So it's +1 929 355 4268. It's +1 929 355 4268. You text that number, you WhatsApp that number, add me, and every day they're going to send you one clip. You could forward the clip if you want, but that's not what I'm asking for. Watch the clip. It's a 4-minute clip, 5-minute clip maximum. Watch the clip and then call somebody. Anybody. Call someone and say, you know what I heard today? And just say it over to them. That one little nuance is going to turn you, is going to turn us, is going to turn me from a regular person into a manhig of Torah, into somebody who's spreading positive ideas. You're going to see change in your life from this. People are going to say to you, you have no idea how much I needed to hear that right now. You're going to change things like you cannot imagine. Bezrat Hashem, through bringing this shalom to Klal Yisrael, you have no idea the inner greatness we will all be able to achieve. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for listening.